When Charles Hoskinson stops posting like this, it'll probably be a sign that the super fun days of Cardano are already over, and I will be a sad, sad person. But this type of exchange may also represent how a counterintuitively perfect scenario may be unfolding in the Cardano dApp space. At least it's looking like it might be perfect for those of us already in the Cardano ecosystem. Ready? Let's go. We're going to discuss exactly what I mean by all that. Also, a tiny SundaeSwap update, not the giant when do they launch update that everybody is so anxiously waiting for, just a tiny one. Liqwid giving us some new info about possibilities on their platform, Seabug hinting at some innovations in NFT ownership, and public development tracking in Cardano projects. I know some of you want to swing into action when you see these super negative posts about Cardano. And there are a lot. There's a lot of super negativity about Cardano out there. I totally understand. You have like a gut emotional reaction when you see it, because you know how hard the entire ecosystem is working toward creating this alternative financial system that also embraces all these awesome things. And people are pretty constructive about how they're trying to counter it. You know, they're like, okay, we need to marshal the facts. Let's break out the facts. Let's explain to them why Cardano is so wonderful. Let's make them understand all the awesome technical things going on in Cardano. I actually feel the opposite. I don't want them to understand how awesome Cardano is. I actually would prefer it if everybody right now outside of Cardano had this kind of attitude toward Cardano if they were only focused on the price. I mean, I think we can assume from this comment, this person is just thinking about the price of Cardano, and they're not looking at the fundamental, technological advancement involved in any blockchain. They're just looking at price. All they know is price goes up, price goes sideways, or price goes down. I would actually prefer it if the rest of the crypto space doesn't understand how far ahead Cardano is right now. Here's another good example. This is a Cardano enthusiast who's very concerned about something someone said on BitBoy yesterday. I'm like very well acquainted with the particular person who was on BitBoy and what they said and kind of their background. But honestly, the specifics aren't even important. It's just someone saying something bad about EUTXO on BitBoy, that Cardano maybe should have gone with an Ethereum type account balance approach. I haven't even listened to the podcast, but based on this report here, I'm guessing that's what they said. This person said, and knowing what that person's sort of background, I could believe they would say that. Charles responds with, we already have said something about this. EUTXO is the single most useful and scalable model in the industry. And I'm sure a lot of people, probably saw this same video from BitBoy and were like, we need to marshal the facts. Let's use facts to fight this fear, uncertainty, and doubt that'll be generated by these false reflections on Cardano's architecture choices. I actually love that these kinds of things are being said on, one of the biggest crypto YouTube channels out there. And here's the reason why. It's because we're about to enter the dApp era of Cardano. I want a certain amount of those dApps. And I want a certain piece of a certain amount of those dApps, certain number of those dApps. Like there are certain metaverses in Cardano, and I'm enjoying buying, a few parcels in those metaverses. There are certain DeFi projects in Cardano. I'm enjoying racking up, a certain amount of coins. I'm like enjoying acquiring some of these assets related to some of these dApp projects. And think about this. Here's the scenario. If Cardano overnight, somehow we were all super effective. We all marshaled the facts, right? We went out there and we cleared up all the fear and uncertainty and doubt. And we convinced all of the Ethereum people, all the Avalanche people, all the Algorand people, all the Terra people, all the Polkadot people. If they all knew what we knew about Cardano, this dApp era would look very different for all of us already in Cardano. They would swoop in and they would be picking up all they could of the best apps in the Cardano ecosystem. It would become much harder for us to acquire pieces of those dApps. It would be much more expensive. We wouldn't be able to acquire as much of those dApps. The ownership of those, the assets related to those dApps would end up with these refugees from those other ecosystems. I don't mean that pejoratively, but there are going to be people who are going to seek refuge in Cardano once they realize what Cardano is capable of compared to the ecosystems they're a part of. And all those ecosystems I named, they're not all bad. I mean, there are really good things about some of those ecosystems, but there are also huge deficiencies, huge shortcomings that Cardano just doesn't have. Cardano is going to be superior to those ecosystems in many, many ways. And once the people currently in those ecosystems realize what's going on, they will become refugees who come to Cardano. I want that to happen after we launch some of these dApps. I mean, it's better for the dApps, the organizers of those dApps. It's better for them if there's a much broader audience, who's like frothing at the mouth to get a hold of the assets related to those dApps. But honestly, as a, simple citizen of the Cardano ecosystem currently, it's better for all of us if those refugees haven't crossed the border yet. It's better if they cross the border like 24 months from now, 12 months from now. And I know you're thinking to yourself, yeah, but I also am interested in Cardano. And the more people in the ecosystem, the better for the principal Cardano asset, which is ADA. And I agree. Of course, we want adoption of ADA as quickly and as widely as possible. And I think that is going to happen. That is my outlook. I wouldn't be here spending this much time every single day on the Cardano ecosystem if I didn't believe that Cardano was going to see widespread, deep adoption. However, I would love it if that takes place 12 months from now, 24 months from now, even 6 months from now is better. Let's not enlighten them to the beauty of the Cardano ecosystem for another, 12 months, 18 months, 9 months, whatever. Just not right now. There's a huge benefit to this asymmetry of information. Let's clear up the asymmetry of information that's in our favor after these big dApps launch. I know not everybody's going to agree with that approach. Everybody would just love for the mass widespread adoption of ADA, and you prefer to have that happen now than the chance for us to see the launch of these dApps and the launch of their assets without the competition of the Ethereum refugees. I understand. I think it's a very fair approach. I'm just saying, consider the opposite. Maybe we clue them in a little bit later. I'm just saying, as a simple member of the Cardano ecosystem, the way greater crypto space sentiment towards Cardano stands now might be the perfect scenario for us just for a little bit longer. They don't listen to us anyways. Let's not kill ourselves just so they can compete with us. Let them compete with us after we've already done our thing. Speaking of the launch of this first crop of monster dApps in the Cardano ecosystem, we got a little more information out of the SundaeSwap Discord today. Someone in the ecosystem was kind of giving SundaeSwap some trouble and raising questions about whether or not they needed to throttle the SundaeSwap dApp upon launch to make it easier for to reduce the load on the network so that the rest of the network could do their thing during the launch. And I'm assuming, other projects, but of course, they're saying the entire ecosystem. I'm really glad SundaeSwap and Pi here held their ground on this, because this SundaeSwap launch is a really big deal for the ecosystem. I know there are going to be other NFT drops and things like that going on when the SundaeSwap dApp launches, but this is a really big deal. And Pi made it clear that IOG was really looking forward to having a full-on unthrottled load test on the network during the SundaeSwap launch. And I believe he even said that IOG had asked them not to throttle their load on the network during this initial launch. They can see exactly what happens when you have a monster dApp handling this much traffic like SundaeSwap will during their launch. So Pi, he was pretty polite as always. He's pretty polite. I think he's a very very good communicator, and he's very polite in his responses to this person. He said, "We're considering it, but really only in emergencies. Considering throttling it, but really only in emergencies. We've developed our strategy hand in hand with IOG over the last 3 months. I flew to London in November to talk to them about it in person. It's that big a deal to us." There was quite a bit of back and forth, and Pi was pretty polite throughout the entire thing. I definitely support SundaeSwap and Pi for standing their ground on this. Let's have that load test. Let's see what it looks like when we have this monstrous amount of traffic. Let's see what happens. Let's get that data. We also got a little bit of an update as to timing, at least some hints as to timing. Somebody asked him basically like, okay, what about timing of the launch? And Pi said, heads down for mainnet launch. Those who pay attention will know we get very quiet before big events. After that, I'll be in a number of media appearances. And they have been pretty quiet. The SundaeSwap Discord, as far as updates from the team, has been quite quiet lately. Pi further clarified, we're waiting on confirmation of just one more thing before we move forward with that announcement. I think we're very close, guys. I think we're very close to this announcement of when exactly SundaeSwap is going to launch. So hopefully, I know they said, what did they say? A couple days or a few more days, something like that last week, but we must be super close now. We also saw this little update out of DC from Liqwid. Disclosure, I own some of their tokens. He says protocol revenue distribution and value accrual model simplified to two choices: buyback and burn, buyback and build. Very concise, but if you break down what he's saying here, very interesting. He says that option number one, which would be buyback and burn, benefits early Liquid DAO token holders most. Option number two benefits early LQ holders and the entire liquid finance ecosystem long term. He says he can't wait to see the community feedback on their proposed model, and hints it's a hybrid of the two. Seabug, the NFT marketplace from M Labs, also had this to say. Did you know that Seabug protocol actively makes it impossible to steal an NFT from you? The next time it will be sold, the spoils will be sent to you. Such results are only possible thanks to the wonders of EUTXO. Technical details to follow soon. Very interesting. I can't wait to see exactly how this will work. I think this is just one example of probably many new things that EUTXO architecture will make possible that don't currently exist in the same way in all of the account balance systems. Finally, at least one Cardano project has made their internal task tracking dashboard available for public review. And I'm sure there are other projects that have done this as well. This is just the one that jumped to my attention. This is Ada Realm. This is one of the metaverses in which I have bought a Army of Spies beach, a bunch of Army of Spies beach parcels. But I thought this was interesting, and I'm not naive. It would be very easy for a project like this to create sort of like an outward facing task tracking dashboard in Trello or any of the other dashboard type systems like this, and have one for the public to see and then one internal real one, and they could kind of control how much the public sees that way. Of course, that could be the case. And I also understand there are a lot of projects that might have some proprietary code and they don't want to get sushi swapped, basically. We've had some of our Cardano dexes say as much. And that's understandable too. But I think this is a great trend. Giving the public, I think the entire Cardano ecosystem is very anxious for all these projects to launch, and the projects that have already sort of half launched, like some of the metaverses, or maybe, more accurately, a quarter launched. We're all super excited to see the development of these projects and when they might finish up. I think this is a great trend. I wish more projects would do this, even if it's not the most in-depth thing. I mean, I don't expect them to show us development of their code line by line or anything like that, but just showing us what projects they're working on, where they are, what updates are completed, what's in progress, what's still yet to be in progress. I think even something just as simple as this is great. Gives us a little bit more line of sight into the speed of development. I don't think it really hurts the projects that much. I understand the hesitancy of some projects because people get so anxious, but I think this is a great trend. I hope it continues. I also hope you're having a great week, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.